weekly free live Uncommon Sense parenting class. I am really excited for tonight because for the very first time, we are live not only on Facebook, both on the Uncommon Sense Parenting Facebook page and in the Parenting Posse group, but also on YouTube and Periscope. So we are simulcasting to all those places at once, at least I hope we are. And I think that's pretty neat. So if you're watching, say hello, let me know you're here, and help me test this magic out. We will be slowly adding back episodes to YouTube over the coming months, so we'll be slowly building our library out there. I am really excited about moving on to YouTube. I've had lots of clients and Posse members ask for YouTube because it's just a bit easier to share YouTube videos than it is on Facebook. So, options are good. The more options, the better. And I'm really excited to be able to offer you options. So, for those of you who are watching for the very first time, I would like to introduce myself. Welcome. My name is Allana Robinson, and I am a parenting effectiveness coach for parents of toddlers and preschoolers. I help parents understand why their children are misbehaving and how to fix it without yelling, shaming, or using timeouts. So I host the MudRoom, which is this show, every Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern. And this show is also blogged and podcasted after the fact because, again, we like our options around here. Everybody learns differently. I also host my free peer support Facebook group, the Parenting Posse. At this point in time, we are sneaking up slowly on 5K members, so we've got a good, solid community of parents supporting each other in applying uncommon sense strategies. And I also host my paid membership program, the Brain Skills Play Blueprint, which goes the extra mile and helps parents support their children's self-regulation and executive functioning skills, gives you personalized support, and all the resources that your heart could possibly desire. Okay, enough talk. Let's get into our topic for tonight, which is declarative language. So this is, again, kind of an old topic for those of you who have been around the Parenting Posse for the last 5 years. But I think because it is like old news for some of you, we've stopped talking about it as much as we used to, which means new parents coming in are missing this vital strategy, and that's not good. More and more people are requesting to join the Posse who found us via the podcast, and now that we're moving into YouTube and Periscope, I expect in due time we'll see more and more traffic from those areas as well. So it's time to just circle back for a minute. So, declarative language. How often do you find yourself saying things like, stop that, put that down, come here, sit still? I often feel as the mother that I am constantly barking commands that have very little to no effect. Sound familiar? I mean, it's instinct, especially when we get into the teach them what to do mindset that I'm always preaching on. Telling them what to do is teaching them what to do, isn't it? Not so much. So telling them what to do is what's called imperative language. Imperative language is used for functional purposes like making requests, asking questions, and stating demands. In particular, when we're using logical consequences, using imperative language negates any of the positive behavior guidance that we've done to that point because it really squashes collaboration. It requires one correct answer and there are no gray areas. It cuts off authentic communication because there is a subscribed response. There's no opportunity for your child to provide input and to think critically, which is kind of the whole point. So the alternative is using declarative language or declarative statements. I generally describe declarative language as talking like Captain Obvious. Put on your Captain Obvious cap, because unlike imperative statements, declarative ones have no specific function. Their goal is experience sharing. It's the act of calling out what a child is doing or the consequence that they're experiencing in an extremely neutral manner in the form of a comment. So, as is the case with most of our parenting strategies, using declarative language is a form of modeling. It simulates their inner voice, which they use for problem solving and planning. Declarative language also promotes a kind of big picture view of issues. When we use imperative language, such as, close the door, we're focusing on one small detail. Using declarative language allows the child to notice the context of the exchange, to integrate it with information that they already know, and ultimately to make a plan of action that makes sense. The result of this is that children are forced to think critically and come up with their own conclusion versus blindly following demands, because the solution comes from them. They have a lot more buy-in. Hello, compliance. So yes, this is how we make kids think that something is actually their idea. And if it's their idea, they are much more likely to act on it. Okay, I'm just going to take a quick sip of tea here. I've got a bit of a frog in my throat. Okay. Oh, that's good. Okay, so an example. Timmy is constantly leaving the refrigerator door open. So every time he does, you say, close the door, right? But if we were to use declarative statements instead and Timmy leaves the door open, you could say, Timmy, the door is still open. So what's the difference there? Well, Timmy has got to think, okay, the door is open. Why is she saying the door is open? Oh, because it should be closed, which is a much more advanced and critical thought process than close the door, door closed. Excuse me. And we can apply this to toddlers too. Even though toddlers are just beginning to be able to express their thoughts, they are able to think critically. The general rule is that a child's expressive language is a year behind their receptive language. So let's look at a typical toddler scenario. Baby's just learned how to climb the stairs and is doing it every single chance that they get. And you can't just sit there and watch them climb the stairs all day, as much as I'm sure you would like to. And rather than just gate them off, you'd rather actually teach them to wait for an adult to climb the stairs, right? But I'm drawing from some personal experience here. After pulling them off the stairs and saying, don't climb the stairs without mommy for the 400th time, you're probably not getting anywhere. So let's reframe it using a declarative statement in the form of a logical consequence process. So in this scenario, you're trying to draw attention to the potential for getting hurt rather than the act itself. You're climbing the stairs, though declarative, is drawing attention to the act of climbing as though that's an undesired behavior, which in the grand scheme of things, it isn't. You're happy for your toddler to climb the stairs when you need them to. So in this situation, your declaration should be about the potential consequence rather than the act itself. So for instance, the stairs aren't a safe place to play. I'm afraid you're going to get hurt. And this gives the child a chance to think, why would I get hurt? So since declarative statements don't give children the answer on a silver platter, close the door, stop climbing the stairs, they have to use critical thinking skills to determine why you would be drawing attention to a behavior that they're exhibiting and decide for themselves to change it. So this flips the motivation from external, I'm doing this because she told me to do it, to intrinsic, I've decided that this is a good/safe thing to do. So see how we changed this from blind obedience to their idea? It's kind of like magic. So a final example from my real life. So when Logan was a toddler, he loved the dishwasher to what I felt was a slightly unusual level. As soon as I opened it, he was trying to climb inside of it. No matter what else may be inside it, if I said, stop it, get down, there was little to no effect. It might slow him down a little bit, but for the most part, he just persisted. And dishwasher doors are not built to hold 18-pound toddlers. However, if I said, Logan, the dishwasher is full of dirty dishes. There are sharp knives in there, and the racks are spiky. I got this like wide-eyed look, and he would stare into the depths of the tub like he'd never seen it before. And if I said, I'm afraid you're going to get hurt if you climb in there, he would like look up at me and sign hurt and then point at the washer tub. And at this point, I would like proceed with my logical consequence process by asking him what he could do instead of climbing inside the dishwasher. And generally he'd just take off to another room and stay there. Today, my two kids got up and ran away from the breakfast table, and my oldest, Logan, had cleared his plate, and the 2-year-old, Owen, had not. He just left his dishes there for me to clean up. So I was like, Owen, your plate is still on the table. And he was like, oh. And he ran back and grabbed it, threw it on the counter, and ran after his big brother. So I know this feels clunky and kind of drawn out. And snapping, like, get down is a lot more efficient, at least on the front end. However, once you've repeated yourself 800 times, using declarative statements and seeing results the first time becomes far more efficient. Hey, Megan! Oh no, Megan's son is having an epic tantrum like he's possessed. Ooh, those are hard. Try it. You're feeling angry. Just put on your Captain Obvious cap and say exactly what you see. It's amazing how well it works. Michelle is one of my veterans. Michelle says, bring on the Captain Obvious. Aye. It is the best. Toddler has opinions about what they eat and which cup they want to use. Yes! And you know what? That's a great time to be like, you really want the pink cup. Right? That's not adding any fuel to the fire. It's not giving them what they want. It's just calling it as you see it. And often, just by repeating back to them what they're trying to communicate to you, you validate what they're saying to you, and then they're kind of like, okay, she did understand me, and they simmer down pretty quickly. Hey, Tiffany! So, there are some things we need to keep in mind. We need to keep our tone of voice when we're using declarative statements extremely neutral. So this isn't a shame exercise. It's not, I told you not to throw your truck against the wall and now it's broken. You never listen. No. It's, you threw your truck against the wall and now it's broken. Captain Obvious. Excuse me. At some point this winter is going to end and I'm going to get my voice back. I'm really looking forward to that. Hey Janelle, hey Stephanie. So this is actually the first step to the logical consequence process. And often just using declarative language will resolve the situation and you can move on. Like this morning when I said to Owen, your plate is still on the table. And he was like, oh. Went back, grabbed it, and did exactly what I wanted him to do. Often that will be the case. However, if your child doesn't respond to the declarative statement, we aren't just going to keep using declarative statements. We're going to move down that process. And remember, the LCP is something that you use in the moment while building critical thinking skills in our kids. Will help them evaluate situations and make better decisions. They can only make choices that they have the executive skills to accomplish. If your child has poor task initiation skills, they can't make a decision that will require them to use their task initiation skills. So if Owen was really poor in task initiation, and I was like, your plate is still on the table, it probably wouldn't have worked because he was lacking that skill to get going and do it. So if they have poor working memory, they can't make a decision that will require them to use their non-existent working memory skills. So remember that this is just one piece of a very large puzzle, and there are situations where using declarative statements aren't ideal, mainly when safety is involved. Sometimes you've just got to yell, "Stop! A car is coming." A car is coming is not a good use of declarative language, right? Sometimes you just have to tell them loudly what to do. And because you don't use imperative, well, ideally, you won't be using imperative language really frequently. When you do use imperative language, it will hold a lot more weight. Because, like, when I tell my kids, "No, you need to do this," because I'm being imperative, that makes them sit up and take notice. Because I don't usually talk like that to them. So when you use declarative language when it's appropriate, when you have to use imperative language, your kids are going to notice a lot more. So I would love to know in the comments if you've been using declarative language. Have you seen improvements in your child's compliance since you made that switch? I know this is kind of, as I said, an older concept for a lot of our veteran posse members, but we haven't really talked about it formally in probably over a year. So I really wanted to kind of bring it back to the forefront because I'm seeing a lot of posts in the parenting posse where declarative language can make a huge difference. Stephanie says she's going to try this. Hey, Crystal. Crystal says that right there is her kind of cuppa. Yes. This is actually one of my smaller mugs. Yeah, I like my tea mugs, just about the size of my head. That's how I roll. So if you are a bit stuck on how you could use this, my scripts for managing crazy making behavior have a bunch of examples of using declarative language to de-escalate and manage 10 challenging situations, and those are free to download, so you might as well. They are in the description box, or they are in a link in my profile, depending on where you're watching this. So thank you all for being here with me this evening. Don't forget to subscribe, no matter where you're consuming this from. Subscribing will ensure that you never miss a beat, and I will see you next week for another Uncommon Sense parenting class.